I'm Ruby, and ever since the founding of Green School in 2008, my family have always dreamt of moving to Bali. We were always inspired by the youth at Green School who have been empowered to become youth environmental warriors themselves. To move to Green School, we had to consider a lot of risks, including the fact that we were moving to an entirely different country with an entirely different culture, and it's commonplace to see 8 people squeezed onto one motorbike. We also had to consider the fact that we're moving to an entirely different education system, where footwear isn't required. To put in perspective how drastic the change was for us, was that I came from a private Catholic girls' school in the right-wing suburb of Camberwell in Melbourne, Australia. I learned the basic subjects there and the usual HSC to be accepted into university, but it was nothing compared to what I am being taught at Green School. Some of the subjects that have helped me become inspired to become a youth environmental warrior myself include the psychology of climate change deniers, the philosophy of solving climate change, and chemistry focusing on the rising acidity in the oceans. These lessons are not taught through textbooks, they're taught through real and current events. This is a risk in itself. And everyone at Green School, including my family, would say that risk-taking is a key element in inciting youth passion and encouraging people to become the change.
Now, we don't want you to feel like you need to come to Green School in order for this education system to be a reality to you. It could happen anywhere. Education has the ability to empower you. And although it can be unpredictable and even messy at times, since we don't follow the norm of standardized testing, we're able to get our hands dirty here, focusing on real-world problems and relevant lessons. I mean, look at us here, in Marrakesh, Morocco, at the gym conference. This was only made possible for us because a group of students last year were inspired by a class that they took.
After taking a class called Confronting Climate Change Deniers and other climate-based classes in school last year, we formed the group called GS Green Generation to go to the COP21 in Coilette in Paris last year. And we worked really hard to make this happen. And the hard work definitely paid off. I know for me, in the less than 2.5 weeks that we were there, I learned more than I could have in 8 weeks in any classroom. But once we got back to Bali, we knew we had to keep the mission alive. And since then, we've gone to conferences and presented at schools all across Indonesia. We even went to Kalimantan to see with our own eyes the destruction and deforestation that's happening there. GS Green Generation has only been able to grow because we have had the opportunities to build off our passions. Now, do you remember that young girl I was talking about at the beginning of this presentation? The one that cared about bees?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Luba. I have grown up in the United States most of my life, and I've never really been connected with nature or really been interested in it, but once I moved to Green School, I actually took this class called Bee Time. I found out that bees were like the most important pollinators in the world, but that they were being killed. So I decided I wanted to do something about it. So I started researching in Bali to see if there were any projects that were helping bees, but there really weren't. So I started my own project called BEEP. It stands for Bee Education Environment Project. It just helps raise awareness and educates people about like the importance of bees and why we need them. So I really started by putting beehives into my own school and teaching kids like about climate change, deforestation, and pesticides. During that process, I wrote a book with some kids about it, and then I have been traveling around Indonesia talking at conferences about like bees and my passion for them. But I'm only one example of a student-driven project. Students must be able to drive their own learning and have the space to do so if you want them to create effective change.
If you want to incite passion and care into students, it is vital to make the lessons that you teach in the classroom relevant to our everyday lives. Forget textbooks. Teach from current events and news. Teach about things like climate change, something that is already affecting every single one of us. And always make sure to teach to the whole child, so that there is room for us to grow emotionally as well as mentally, especially when dealing with heavy topics such as climate change. And always remember that youth are not the problem, but that we are the solution, and that we can do things.
So how does a group of students end up here
here in Marrakesh, Morocco to attend this conference. We're in school right now. We're getting credit for being here. How did two young girls come up with a solution to ban plastic bags throughout Bali and then have a TED Talk to spread their message? Because of bye-bye plastic bags, the governor of Bali has agreed to ban plastic bags in Bali by 2018. How does a graduating class go from recognizing the transportation issue at our school to creating an enterprise that has buses that run entirely on biodiesel converted from used cooking oil? The BioBus now has 3 buses that run entirely on this biodiesel that transport kids to and from school every day. So how does this happen? It happens when you have an education system that allows
us to take risks,
that allows us to break away from standardized tests,
That allows us to teach the whole child and foster care for the environment.
To allow students to drive their own education.
That allows us to be here at the gym taking action. We know education influences change, so we need to make change now. We aren't going to make change sitting quietly in rows restricted to traditional learning. If we can do it,
You can do it.
Class dismissed.